Hi, readers. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. If you are new here, I read books and I review books and then I recommend them to you. And if you've been here for quite some time, thank you so much for your support. It means so much to me. I'm seeing my page like growing slowly but surely. But it's good because it's genuine growth. It's people that are readers and want to be here and support me. So I'm just super grateful for that. It's spring break. And as many of you know, as I've said many times, I'm a teacher, so I have a few days off. I'm very, very happy about that. And so I'm recording this book review kind of like during the day when I would usually like kind of record at night or in the afternoon time. So getting a lot of sunlight. I'm relaxed, I'm happy, and let's jump into it. So, the book I'm reviewing today is called What Napoleon Could Not Do by, I'm hoping that it's just like how the letters go, DK Nnuro. Um, Not sure if this is pronounced a different way or not. But this book was so good. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. And I am going to explain some of the reasons why I thought it was a really good read, without giving away too many spoilers, because I like to give you just the right amount of just like get into it. So, and of course, I have my notes here. So the story is about it's centered around like the unraveling of a marriage that happened in absentia. And for people that don't know, because I didn't know before I read this book, a marriage in absentia is a marriage where one or both of the people being married aren't present. So someone comes like in place of like the husband or the wife. And in this case, it's both of them. So the story is about Patricia and Jacob. And they're getting married. Well, they got married and neither of them were there. They sent like family members to like stand in place of them. And then the marriage just basically didn't work out. So Patricia was in America, um, and Jacob lived in Ghana, and the goal was for Jacob to get his like documents and then go to America and be with Patricia, and it didn't work out that way. And so after like a few years, they ended up getting a divorce, also in absentia. Like they both weren't present. They sent family members to kind of like step in and be there for them. And all this stuff happened in like the first chapter or two of the book. So I kind of was like, this what is this book gonna be about if all of that stuff basically happened? Like, let me see where does chapter one end. I'll show you, so you can see how one might think, what is this book even going to be talking about for the rest of the chapters? Okay, so here, this is chapter one. This is talking about the marriage and also the divorce. So I'm just like, what are we going to be talking about? Like, I remember being like, I don't know where this book is going to go. But the book ended up talking about a bunch of different stories of the family members, mostly of Jacob's family members. So he has a sister, Belinda, who lives in America. Um, he had like his father is around. He has a brother, a nephew, and a couple like friends. So they use also his sister Belinda has a husband who also gets like a good amount of like play or story time in this book. So they used those stories to kind of like build out more context of the book essentially, and it ended up being such like so good. So let me just get into my likes, because of course gotta do the likes versus dislikes vibe. So the first thing I would say that I really liked was relatable content. So there was so much relatable information in here for myself. Oops, for myself, but I mean for anyone basically. So the first one, migrating or trying to migrate to America. I was lucky that my like process of migrating to America, as far as I know, wasn't super tumultuous. It did take a long time from like when my mother like told me initially that that was going to be the case to when it actually happened. But I was a child and like super far removed from like all the struggles and the drama and the paperwork and the going back and forth and the waiting to hear and the being rejected and all that kind of stuff. Like as far as I know, my situation was not like that. Yeah, it wasn't like that. Um, so it's still relatable though, as like an immigrant myself, but also for people who have been in those situations where they have family members that are already in America and now they want to go, or they've been married and now they have to like figure out the paperwork to like come over to America to be with their loved ones, and then dealing with the whole process of like a lottery or doing an application and then being rejected and then having to find the money to redo it and all that stuff. So that's super relatable content because America is the land of immigrants. So I'm sure any and everyone can relate. And even if it's not you specifically, I'm sure you know someone who's an immigrant. Um, so yeah, being in America, so that's one thing. The second thing is kind of like being here but also missing out on things at home because of like your paperwork status. So um I sort of had this situation kind of be similar for myself. I was going from just being like a person with like a green card to getting like my American citizenship. And so you have to like give up all the documents that you have, and then they take it, they send you like an American passport. And during that time, someone very close in my family passed away in the country that I'm from, Trinidad. I didn't have my paperwork and I couldn't go back to the country for the funeral, unfortunately. And the same thing kind of happened in this story with the sister Belinda. um, she was in hold on one second, because I'm saying Belinda and I'm like, wait, who's Belinda? Don't tell me I'm saying the wrong name this whole time. Yes, it's Belinda. Never mind. Just having a brain fart. Yeah, the same thing happened to Belinda, where so she's been in America for quite some time. She got to go because of like school and stuff. And she's married to this guy called Wilder, and he for some reason like hasn't been able to like help her get like her green card or any type of paperwork. And so while she was in America, her mother passed away and she didn't go back. Um because she just didn't want to like risk her chance of like not being able to come back to America. So that's really, really, really understandable. I'm sure many people are in that situation where they live in America, they have their lives going, but they just haven't gotten their paperwork settled, and things happen and they have to miss out on it. Weddings, funerals, birthdays, like major celebrations. So it's really relatable. And then the other relatable thing was, so like I said, Belinda got over to America because she went to college, like through like the scholarship program, all that good stuff. Um, and then just like having to deal with the stresses of going from one culture to another and like making friends. There was this one specific girl that she mentioned who like came over to America like a year after her, and then once she like got there, she was like acting kind of funny, and she kind of like went super on the side of like like associating herself with like all the white people and not her. And it was just like that kind. I didn't have to like truly deal with that, but in terms of like the friend situation, but it is a huge culture shock, like going from one country to another and then trying to like find your way, assimilate, all that good stuff. So that's just right off the bat. I loved those relatable pieces of the book. The second part that I really loved was the layout of the book. So in I'll show you in the table of contents. There is like book one, and then there's like sections. So like Jacob's section, Belinda's, and then those are broken up into like other um, chapters. So that's different. I feel like you don't always see like sections and chapters within sections. Um, so yeah, I thought that was cute. And of course, wouldn't be me if I did not mention the multiple perspectives for the 100th time. How many videos I have out already? Loved hearing from Jacob, loved hearing from Belinda, his sister, loved hearing from Wilder, which is Belinda's husband. Um, and it just helps bring the story together all the time. Okay, my favorite part of this book, favorite part of this book is, like I said, they gave Belinda's husband Wilder like a good chunk of the book. So in the book, we've been introduced to Wilder as like this older, mysterious guy who is married to Belinda, who can't seem to get her papers, but is super rich and is kind of nice. But he has this like past of like talking about when he was in Vietnam, but he doesn't really talk about it and all that stuff. And I'm just like, why do they keep bringing this up? When we get to the end of the book, like for a good chunk of the book, it's basically him explaining what it was like being in the army, being in the Vietnam War, and like just living there and just experiencing it, and also giving the readers the understanding of why he doesn't talk about Vietnam like to everyone else. And the section, while the section, I honestly felt like I was reading a different book. It was like, wait, it's so descriptive. It's giving me like such an idea of like what, some sort of idea of like what a soldier who didn't think that they were going to make it back to America, who kind of had to like start a life there, but then who can't come back and like talk about it to anyone because no one would understand. Like it was so good. It was so descriptive. It was like such a different story that I almost like forgot that like there was other things going on in the book, if that makes sense. It was so good. Like while this part was 100% my favorite part of this book, if you read it, I hope it will be the same for you. But for people that have already read this book, please tell me that you loved Wildest Part as much as I did, because I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. Um, Other small things is there were a couple characters with disabilities. I am a teacher for students with mental, brain based disabilities. So, not mental, brain based disabilities. And so I was just like, oh, love the representation. The characters in the book did not have brain based disabilities, though. They were like deaf, and then one of the other ones had like sort of like a lame arm. I also love that everything like connected by the end, because like I said, started off I was like, I don't know where this story is going after this divorce. Then we got like heard from Jacob, heard from him from his sister, then heard from Wilder, which took me somewhere totally different. But then by the end, like everything just came together like perfectly. It like connected. I was like, okay, I get it. Cool. Chef's kiss. And then the last thing I really liked is that I learned about what like a marriage and a divorce in absentia even is. I don't know like who, if people are still doing that now. I'm sure they are. But it was just good to know like that exists and it's possible for maybe people who might be interested. I don't know. And then, so I don't actually have that many, I don't have really any major dislikes about this book. The one thing I will say is that everyone got their piece to like share information, like Jacob, Patricia, Wilder, and everyone else got like a little here and there. But I feel like the dad didn't, like Patricia and Jacob's dad didn't really get like much of his story told. um and the dad and Jacob had like a there was tension in their relationship. And it was like touched on like why there was tension, but I feel like maybe they could have told his story a little bit more to like dive deeper into like why. But the story didn't miss anything because that wasn't given, if that made sense. Like it didn't take away from the story that we didn't hear Mr. Niti's um, point of view. So yeah, overall, this book is amazing. I don't know if my I'm speaking so like calmly and clearly about it, but it's actually like really good, and I want more people to read it. It's pretty new, so like there might not be that many like reviews and stuff, but like definitely read it. They talk about migration and its potential woes, like I said, marriage and absentia, divorce, love, loss. There is some loss in this book, like death, rejection, disabilities, and living with them. Moving on or trying to move on when things don't go according to plan, like Jacob with like all these rejections from getting to America. The topic of war with Wilder. So there's like a lot of information in this book, and it's a good read. Like you are going to enjoy it. It's also like a little R-rated, like a little. There's like some topics that's just like a little spicy. But it's a good read. I would recommend it to anyone. I'm giving it 5 stars. If you've read it before, please let me know what your review is, how many stars you're giving it, and I hope that you've been encouraged and um, motivated to read this book. So that's it for me. I'm reading A Little Life next. That's going to take me a little bit longer because it is like a thicker book. I think it's like maybe like double this one. It's older, it's been around for quite some time, but it is highly, highly raved about. Apparently, it's going to wreck me. So we'll see. Um, and yeah, thank you guys for tuning in as always, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.